All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly want to thank everybody listening to all of our shows, and if you get a chance, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'm not giving you the usual cheery intro today because today marks a unfortunate anniversary, 6-month anniversary of someone to Lakers fans all over the world that was very near and dear to their hearts. It's the jersey behind my screen that you see there, Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, along with several others that were tragically killed 6 months today in a horrible, horrible helicopter accident in Southern California. And it is a day that a lot of people are having a hard time with today and coming to grips with it and trying to cope and move on. And I brought a couple guests on today that are going to hopefully just share some words of that maybe you'll find some inspiration from going forward. Because again, it is a tragic day indeed, and we're going to just give you hopefully just helpful words out there that will get you by. First off, he's a good friend of mine. You got to check out all the great podcasts that he's doing with all the just fantastic interviews from celebrities all over the world. It is Brett Allen from the Open Mic Podcast. And Brett, again, I normally just give you that cheery intro and all that, but today it's kind of a somber day.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you for the kind words. It's interesting. It's hard to believe that 6 months has passed since this has all happened. It just shows you, especially with the state of our country right now that we're in and this pandemic, and we're still on lockdown over here where I am at, and there are no signs of it ending anytime soon. And, I think we all deal with grief and we all cope with loss in a different way. It's different for every single person, and I think the thing that we have to recognize is that we all process grief and we all process loss in a completely different way. And just because you move on from something doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone out of your mind forever. I lost my father 15 years ago. Although I have gone through the grieving process and that sort of thing, I still miss him. And so it's a lot different, obviously, than, a world phenom and iconoclast like Kobe Bryant, but I still think dealing with the loss of it is the same. And I think if you just recognize that and how the grief process works for you and just take it one step at a time, I think eventually over time, things do get better and we are able to move on with them. However, I do feel that a small piece of that, having done counseling and grief counseling in the past from a religious type background and experience, I although I do not practice it that often anymore, I do think that some of those key things apply, and just really acknowledging it and not ignoring it. And if you are struggling with this or something else, the first thing that you can do is just ask for help and talk to somebody that can walk you through the process. And I feel that is how I've dealt with it. It's been tough, but I think eventually over time, and for everyone listening and watching, it's going to be different.
I hope it is, my friend, and I hope we can all get through it together because it's such a hard loss that people are still taking to this day. I also want to go ahead and get some words in with a man who is also here. If you get a chance to check out his YouTube page, New Heart for Life, it deals with not only his push-up challenges, but the ways he can go and the message he can send out there to people in regards to veteran suicide prevention, as someone who, like you, has also, consoled others out there in regards to just providing good words in this type of situation. It is Dan Williams. And Dan, thank you also as well to come on the show under such, I'm sorry that it came under such circumstances, but I'm telling you what, my friend, I just appreciate you coming on the show. And what do you have to say to people out there that, again, are going through such a tough time on this 6-month anniversary?
Thank you, Gerald, for the invite, and I'm honored to be able to at least play a small piece and in the remembrance of Kobe. And my initial thoughts are just how fragile life is. just how fragile life is. The vibrance of Kobe and his, and those pictures of his daughter, having 4 daughters of my own, and my story of having a near-death experience, and now I'm in extra innings by the grace of God, really gives me an appreciation for, those that those families that don't have that benefit, and so this is a stark reminder to live every day, every life, every minute as if it was your last. I'm sure Kobe, when they entered that helicopter that morning on the way to his daughter's basketball practice or camp, there was no, he was actually, I remember reading a kind of a recap. I can't attribute to who it was, but it really took me back. Kobe was always helping people out. In fact, it was his agent who was looking at Kobe to, making introductions to one of his athletes. And it was one of the last texts that Kobe had shared. He was literally on that helicopter, and he said, "Hey, anytime I'm in, tell me what you need." And gosh, that's just an image of Kobe Bryant. But the other and perhaps kind of trailing thought is, you sometimes don't get to know people until something like this happens. I'm on the East Coast. I'm not can't say that I followed the Lakers. I'm certainly, I followed Kobe, but it was that ceremony that was held with leading off by his wife and all the great speakers that really gave me an appreciation through those eyes, the Michael Jordans of the world, and the University of Connecticut coach. That really gave me more of an appreciation for Kobe and what he's all about. And I think there's a lesson there too, that's not the time that you really want to get to know people. But I was taken back, and I'm taken back by today's tribute and memory of him.
Absolutely. And again, it's a somber day for everyone out there, but as we continue to honor and memorialize both Kobe and Gigi Bryant and all the people who tragically lost their lives in that helicopter accident 6 months ago, Brad, like what Dan was saying, I mean, the memorials and the tributes were not only taking place at his funeral and at his services, but the reason why I'm talking to you guys today is because it's still, with everybody out there, there's so many basketball fans that are still just have a hard time getting over this. And like you, I lost my father in 2008. That's still with me today. Losing Kobe, still with me today. And it hurts a lot. I mean, what do you say to those people? I know you had some great words in the beginning, but again, part of the reason why I'm here is because he's affected so many people around the world. I mean, I see tributes from all over: the Philippines, Japan, China, Australia, just so many, Europe, so many different places around the world that are on these different forums, different formats, different places where people connect, social media all over the place, still affected by his loss. Brad, there's just, again, I truly appreciate your inspiring words earlier. I mean, still, there's so many people having a hard time coping. And what are the things that people need to go ahead and do and reach out to, or if the things that you do in situations like these?
Well, I think, again, thank you for the kind words and the invite. I think the important thing is just to recognize the grief and the loss and just talk to somebody about it. I think having a conversation with somebody and just having an open and honest dialogue is important. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to weep. And I think those things are okay. And I think the biggest thing that can heal the brokenhearted with the loss of Kobe is just time, And if it's watching old highlight clips or sizzle reels of his games or interviews, whatever the case might be, I think just not pretending like it never happened or like he never existed, but just familiarizing yourself with all of these great things and just letting it all soak in. And I think, again, that is the key, is just having an open and honest dialogue about things.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Dan, those were some great words said by Brett, and you've obviously touched upon some fantastic words yourself. But again, as I'm saying, as someone who, like us, has had losses in their lives, especially right now with all the troubling things that are going on with the pandemic and racial injustice and how we need to go ahead and just enact social change. I want to hear your thoughts as far as on a day like this where we're taken back and the memories of Kobe that we have, how best that we can cope and try to go ahead and move forward in a positive fashion.
Yeah, it's as Brett was sharing, it's a process and it's a human process, and I think part of the grieving process is denial, and so as soon as you can get through that and naturally grieve, and the better you can perhaps cope with, because those stages are real. I think that keeping his memory alive, like you are doing right now, is another way. We do tend to, we tend to let life take over, and having a memory of somebody like Kobe and Gina, and is just keeping that memory alive is also important. I know my tagline is new heart for life, right? I have 4 beautiful daughters, and you all go back and when you think about something like this, you start to, at least I do, relate to, my God, what would my daughters be feeling right now, and what would they want had I not made it out of that open heart surgery and went on to a life of fitness. And I would hope what they would do is, just as Kobe has a legacy, and a legacy that is too long for the show, but that to remember and go through that process just to celebrate the legacy of Kobe and his perfection for basketball and his professionalism and his ability to be kind and pay it forward. And I think that's a stage that perhaps some people are getting to now, and to be able to remember and make sure that the things that he did for us in his life are remembered through legacy thoughts and legacy shows like you're hosting today.
Well, again, as long as he stays in our hearts and minds, both him and his daughter Gigi, they will never be forgotten. Obviously, the great things that he did and the great things that she did over the course of their lives, which was cut all too short, still can be fondly remembered by fans for the years to come. And hopefully those tears of sadness will turn into somewhat of a more of appreciation for the continuously great things that he did over the course of his life and the things that she did over the course of her life. And of course, all the other great people that were involved in that tragic accident. And I'm hopeful that everybody will, at some point in time, will start taking steps towards finding peace and finding some type of way to move on forward, because I don't think any of them that were involved in that tragic accident, Dan, would go ahead and want us to continue just having so much sorrow, and especially in such a dark time right now in our history of our world, of our planet, as we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. The who knows? I do believe personally, and a lot of people transition place, and that they are looking down on us right now, and they are wishing that we keep alive the vibrance and the memory of for him, his daughter, and his family who's left behind.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys have been tremendous on the show. I cannot thank you enough for your thoughts and your words, and hopefully at least a little bit of this will go a long way with people as far as trying to get through this tough day. But before we head on out, Brett, obviously you do some great work, and so do you, Dan, as far as the stuff that you do. Brett, hopefully before you go ahead and we head on out, you go ahead and share your thoughts for time on Kobe. And of course, obviously all the great things that you do at the Open Mic Podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here. And I've been very fortunate and blessed to talk to some amazing people. So if you're interested in checking things out, it's the openmicpodcast.show. All my recent interviews are on there. Allegra Edwards from Amazon Prime Uploads. I just released her. And before that was actor Eric Roberts, brother of Julia Roberts. And then cheapseatentertainment.com is my media company. If you want help booking a podcast guest or getting a guest or an author or anybody on your show, just head over to the website and contact me, and I will do my best to help you out. Thanks again, Gerald, for having me on the show, my friend. It's a pleasure as always.
I wish it would have been under better circumstances, better when we talk pop culture all the time as we do. I love our conversations there. Hopefully I'll be back on your show. Hopefully, obviously you can be back on mine anytime you want. The red carpet is open. I did show everybody, again, the Open Mic Podcast webpage, which has all the information that you need right there. So hopefully you get a chance to check out all the great stuff that Brett is doing. And before we head on out, Dan, I truly appreciate you joining me today. Again, you're also welcome back any point in time on the show. I'm bringing up, again, your YouTube page, New Heart for Life. If people are interested in finding out more about veteran suicide awareness and the things that you're doing with your push-up challenge, please let everybody know on the way out exactly what you're doing at New Heart for Life.
Yeah, so it's New Heart for Life. Behind your on Kobe's jersey, newheartforlife.com. And so 2 points. Right now we're in the midst worldwide a campaign that it creates awareness for veteran suicide and preventing future veteran suicides. So it turns out that on average, we are losing 22 veterans a day to suicide. And this campaign is with the hashtag 22 push-up challenge. So hashtag 22 push-up challenge. You can get it obviously through my site as well. And it's all about doing 22 push-ups or supporting somebody to do 22 push-ups and then nominating someone for 22 days. And it's a very tangible way and to recognize those veterans with post-traumatic stress that we're losing way too many. And especially in this era of, with lockdowns, it's a great program to spread the word, to keep us focused, and to be able to wish to participate to keep fit. And if not, spread the word. So thank you for allowing me to have that shout out. And to all the veterans and their families out there, thank you for your service.
Once again, that's New Heart for Life, newheartforlife.com, and New Heart for Life on YouTube. Again, just to help out the awareness out there for veteran suicide, please, if you're interested, go ahead and check it out today on YouTube, New Heart for Life, and also newheartforlife.com. And of course, Brett's show, the Open Mic Podcast, and his Cheap Seat Entertainment. If you're interested in being part of it and also just the amazing interviews that he has, check out the Open Mic Podcast with Brett Allen today, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, we truly appreciate you guys that you had a chance to come on the show on this day. We want to go ahead and, again, remember the lives of Kobe, Gigi, and everybody else that was part of that tragic accident. If you want to share your thoughts with us, I can go ahead and read them on the show, because later on, if you're watching on Facebook Live today, I will be getting with the guys from Lakerholics.com and also Rafael Barlow from NBA Draft Junkies. We're going to have an hour show coming up here in a little bit. So if you want to go ahead and you have your thoughts, your questions, you want to go ahead and shoot out to me at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter, or you can go ahead, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, or anything else relating to that, Pop Culture Cosmos. You can just go ahead and find us on social media. But again, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone out there that are trying to cope through this day. You can get through it. believe you can get through it. Kobe and Gigi and everybody involved would want you to get through it. I know it's a tough day, but we'll all get through it together right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.